Hello, and what we're looking at now is a top-down game. It's my little game, that's not important. And what I wanted to discuss today is making bits of a navmesh, bits of a level where some types of character can go and others can't, and vice versa. So this here, not very clearly, is the main player character, and where you click is where it goes to. This is the standard top-down template you'll find from Epic. Now what I want to do here is that this character can pass through these sort of gates, but can't pass across this gate. And the friendly AI are the opposite. They can go through this, but they can't go through this. This is some kind of service hatch, and this is some kind of repair bot. That's the theme. Anyway, so the point is if I click there, rather than going directly to that point, it goes the way it's supposed to go. Which might sound obvious, but actually there's quite a lot of work involved in making that happen. And similarly, if I open up this door, you'll see the friendly AI will do the opposite. They'll head straight through that gap and they will ignore that gap. And what I'm going to do is just do a project, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, from start to finish, with a few irrelevant bits along the way, but to show you some of the steps you need to do, because I spent a long time figuring out all the steps I need to make this happen. So hopefully that'll be educational and not entirely pointless. So let's begin. So here I am choosing a new project with a top-down template. It doesn't have to be top-down, but this is one where you click and it moves to there, so that's the most relevant. Let's call it nav test as a project and create a project. And it's going to think about it. There we go, that's good. I'll go back to you when I've got that working. Well, it's working. Okay, so this is the default top-down template. Where you click, it moves to. So first of all, I want to create some friendly AI. I will change that a bit. Oh dear, I do dislike the standard. Yeah. So I'm going to copy. I'm going to copy the character. Is what I want to copy. And I'll make new content. Friendly AI, forgive me if I don't do this properly. And friendly AI character. I'm going to do the minimum to get this working. So that is exactly the same as that one, except let's bring this across here. I don't want all this stuff. I don't want a camera. I just want the capsule, the arrow, yeah, why not? And the mesh, quite important. And I'm just going to change this. I will create an instance just to visually distinguish this. I'm kind of winging it. So there is a body color. Let's make it purple. So I just figured that was going to be like that. And for the mesh, apply that. Oh, did not like that. So, right, normally clicking on that will do something. Alright, I just don't want any of the standard stuff. Okay, I'm going to save that. So I've now made a character for my friendly AI. I now need to make a AI controller. I'm not going to bother with this for this quick demo. What do I want? It's not a standard thing, so blueprint, new class, and I want to base it on AI controller. Detour 1 makes it sort of wobble around things. That's a very specialist one. I just want the basic AI controller. And I'm going to put it in there and call it friendly AI controller. And I'm going to get my character. Animation is fine, I'm not touching that for now. somewhere there is a There's quite a lot of stuff near the bottom, I think. I'm going to have my friendly AI control it. That would have worked fine. Auto possess player, nope. I want spawn as well because I think I'm going to be spawning them. And I should probably do something with the level blueprint to spawn them. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to take a cube because I can, and I'm going to... It's funny how you can never find what you want when you're actually doing a video. Select it, blueprints, convert that to blueprint class, friendly, I'll stick it in there anyway, spawn friendly AI. This is not relevant to anything, but this is going to make me something that will spawn things. I have a similar thing in my game. I'm just going to add, what am I going to add? What did we call it? Billboard, why not? And I'm going to use this billboard as the place where that's just something that came with the engine. So I will define that as the place where things are spawned. And event graph will be not timer. Set timer. Events fine. And just promote that to spawn interval. And I'm going to make another variable destination actor, type actor, and make those public spawn interval every 5 seconds, and looping, and spawn friendly AI. What I'm doing here is just popping up as friendly AI every now and again to test things. Spawn AI from class. Pawn class will be self, but let's just try and spell it. Friendly AI character. Behaviour tree, not going to bother for now, just keep it fine. And the location will be the billboard's location. Otherwise we're going to spawn them in the middle of the ground, whatever. What am I doing? Get location. Get world location. Rotation. If we want to get fancy, why not add component. Arrow. And get world rotation. I want to spawn all the time, and that gives us our AI. Okay, on second thoughts, I'm going to do a behaviour tree and a blackboard, partly because that's the right thing to do, and partly because actually that might make it easier to do this. So I'm going to jump back for my friendly AI, AI behaviour tree, friendly AI BT, and a blackboard. I'm going to go open up, no, wrong one, behaviour tree, and it's going to be real simple. Yep, the blackboard seems to have found itself. Going to add a key, make it an object, new key. Alright, what am I doing wrong? Parent. Destination actor. Object is of type actor, fine. And I'm not going to do a, let's see, sequence. And default will be wait. So decorator, blackboard, if destination actor is set, move to destination actor. That's pretty much what we want. Filter class, I'm going to come back to you there. So yeah, so what we need to do now is set the blackboard key. Get blackboard, set value as object, destination actor, key name is promote to variable, and we say that's, did we say target actor? Destination actor. And so by default that should, after 5 seconds, spawn that. It's not going anywhere. Let's look at the behaviour tree. Oh, I haven't even hooked it up. Okay, I am very noob at behaviour trees. You have to do a selector or a sequence, and from there do your things. When you get to the actor, I'm going to do a real hacky task, new task, new task. This will just event execute AI. I think that's basically finish, execute, success. So I've made a little task which is friendly kill pawn, and I think if I got that right, let's see. If destination actor is set, kill the pawn if is at location destination actor. So sequence, I think I want the selector, and I'm going to copy that, delete that, oops. So if it can do that thing, it'll do that thing, otherwise it'll do that thing. And if it can't do that thing, just wait. Alright, I think that ought to work. If it doesn't work, I'm doing something wrong. I want to spawn this a bit quicker. So that has set the destination, set timer by event, time spawn interval 2. Right, what happens now? They're not going, so why are they not going? I'll fix that. Okay, this was just a silly example anyway, but I think the problem is that the cube they're trying to go to has collision on, so it doesn't have navmesh going to it. So all we need to do is to make it have no collision, and I've got a feeling that'll start working. There we go. And when they get there, they die. And if we look at the behaviour tree, moves to, and then it'll do that one, but you can't see, it's just going so fast. Right, so that's that. Now there's a few concepts we have to think in parallel with. If we have different kinds of pawns, we want to have different kinds of objects to associate them with. What I mean by objects, I am using the wrong term. Go to Project Settings and Collision, Object Channels. So if we want to start doing things with different collisions for different things, which is part of the solution, we need different objects. So I'm going to go with a player object, default response block, and a friendly AI object, default response block. And what that means is if you just have a generic thing and you have collision, custom, you can see here that you can define the collision responses and the trace responses for different kinds of objects. And now you've got these two objects here. So you can say this cylinder will block the friendly AI but not the player for whatever reason. Maybe it's a force field rather than a solid object. And so now I can go through that, except I can't because it's show navigation. It's stopped the nav mesh generating there, but in theory I could run straight through it if I had normal controls. So that's a poor example, and I think the player, egads, let's make it ignore everything and block the friendly AI, and I think there, that's made it not collide. So I can go through, right, but that's fine because we haven't said what is what, and here's where I'm slightly not sure of things, but here's the friendly AI character, unrecognized tab, good. Might as well go in the full blueprint editor. Here are the things in it. The capsule component is what's doing the collision with things. Collision, and it collides as a pawn, which means it's blocked by everything. It's not seen by visibility traces, which is, I think, a practical thing to make them work better in general, but it is seen by the camera. Anyway, the mesh is more complicated. Yeah. Anyway, for at least one of those, we want to change the object type to that. So I think on the capsule type, we have to go to a custom one and change that to friendly AI. Compile. And I'm going to go to the top-down character. This is the player character. Somewhat more complicated, but the same thing. Collision. I'm going to say custom and just change object type to player. So now I've done that. The player can go through it, but the AI gets blocked. So we can make this a bit different. So that is the essence of bits of the map where one thing can go to and other things can't. I mean, if you were to make that invisible, hide it in game, then the player wouldn't know anything's wrong, but the friendly AI can't go through it. You could make it entirely blocked. So you can do that reversed. I think if I make that one, let's unhide these, move that off, move that up there, and change that around to block player, don't block friendly AI. That indeed is what it does. But to get from here to the next stage, oh, hello, to the next stage is difficult because we want the players and the AI to know what is blocked and what's not, so they don't even try to go through things. So that would go round rather than trying to go through. And similarly for the AI. So that's the next bit. Right. I'll be honest with you, I had to stop recording the video. I've now had a couple of drinks, so I'm sure the quality will only improve from here out. So the next thing on the list is navigation, navmesh stuff. Two main classes we need to deal with. The first is, let's turn the navmesh on. We want to define bits of the mesh as different types of mesh. So what we need, and I'm going to put it here, is a nav area. So I'm going to choose nav area to base. Oh, interesting. I haven't looked at that before. To base my blueprint on, I'm going to say block friendly AI. Seamless. You'd never know. Right, where did it go? Did it not go there? What am I missing? Where did it go? Browse. Blueprints. That's mild annoying. Right. And what we have here is a nav area. Those are the default values. We want to keep those. I'll go with purple. And I'm going to just make another one. Same thing. Oh, I'm a bit drunk. Should have probably spotted that. And this one will make orange. So the simplest way to apply that to the mesh, in theory, we'll have a see what happens, is a nav modifier volume. And here it says the area is nav area null, that's the default. Let's make it a block friendly AI. Make it nice and big. And I'm going to copy that over here and make that a block player. Okay, now that should change the color of the mesh to the appropriate color. It's not. There are some really annoying bugs here. If you look this up, it's very hard to find information on it, but the first thing they say is set it to default cost 10 and then move the mesh, move the nav thing or something. It's not quite clear what you have to move. I mean, that will cause a rebuild. Let's try moving that. Yeah. So that should have worked and it doesn't. So the second thing is there is a bug report where it says you have to restart the editor to get that to take effect. Let me just put that back to 1. I probably should have built something as well, but never mind. Save all. So I'm just going to try that now and see what happens to restart the editor. Alright, so funny thing, reloading the editor made that work, but when I play the level, for some reason all the navmesh is gone. I killed the navmesh. It's back again when you go there, so let me figure out why that went wrong. Welcome to Unreal Engine. Haven't solved it, but if you toggle force rebuild on load in the recast navmesh default, it does this. Yeah, no idea. I mean, I did have a go at doing this nav area stuff and I deleted some stuff and started again, so I might have really messed something up by doing that, but honestly don't think it's supposed to do that. Okay, I'm trying to tell you how to do something rather than how things don't work, but the fix for that buggered navmesh was to find the recast navmesh default, delete it, then rebuild paths, and then it seems to work again. So the spec custom areas are there, but they're not doing anything, so we need to do a little bit more. The easiest thing is the AI, so we go to the friendly AI controller. If we go here, what we need to do to make them path properly around areas they're not supposed to go into is to add a filter class. So we're going to add in the nav stuff a new class based on this one, nav stuff friendly AI filter. And there's stuff you can do, but basically you add an area and say for the block friendly AI that's excluded. That's all you need to do for that case. And so we go back to the controller of the friendly AI and say use the friendly AI filter, compile that, and now they should avoid the purple area. Let's see. There you go. So you can't see it. Well, let's in fact see it. So they're not blocked from it, but they're not trying to go into it. We can, as a refinement, actually block them and say custom query only for being quick, and say that'll block the friendly AI and nothing else. And you can't really tell the difference, but that should be physically blocking them from there. I'm just going to verify that by undoing that change. Oop. So that's them getting blocked because they don't know to avoid it. So let's redo that change. So that's easy. My AI will now avoid areas and can't physically go into them. That's a bit annoying to place this by hand. Let's look at a further refinement, which is to say, let's take, say, a cube, make it more of a gateway, and copy it. This is obviously a little bit hacky. Take both of them, blueprints, convert them to a blueprint class. That exists now. Let's say player gateway, create blueprint, and those two things are attached to a shared root, and we want to have an area there. Now, nav modifier. This is a component you can add to blueprints where you can say it has an area class of whatever you want. And you don't specify a size. Apparently it just takes the mesh extent. And my experience of this is it just bloody well doesn't work. It puts stuff at the origin, not at the mesh. So maybe I did it wrong, but my advice is completely ignore nav modifiers. And also you have somewhere there you can, I don't see it, but you can have affects navigation or not, and that's not intuitive. But yeah, so actually just bin that off. My advice is add a box collision or similar. Scale that up. Hello. Why is that not working? There we go. Just scale it up a bit. But do it more, go away, competently than that. And expand that out. And so normally this is a collision, but we can say it has that class. And actually I don't want to, well, you can block things as before. So custom, ignore everything, pardon me, ignore everything, block friendly AI. You may not want to block them. If, say, you've got an explosion that can throw people through things, you may want to have it so they can pass through areas they would otherwise avoid. So I'll leave it as not blocking. Whether it can ever affect navigation can change things. But this will now get rid of that and just add this instead. And of course, doesn't work. For a start, let's just move that relative to the origin. So that's the ground. We want to move that up a bit, just as a quality of life improvement. And the final two things you need to do, make sure it can affect navigation and make it a dynamic obstacle. That may not be necessary depending on how you build things, but that should make that appear. So now we have a blueprint which has your sort of frame or gateway, and the nav mesh within it is the appropriate type, which will only allow players through. Let's just check that works. So works just fine. Oh, I don't know what happened there. And if I move it here, yeah. Oh look, that's gone a bit strange. So that's not going to work because there's some null there. Right, so that is the nav mesh being a bit special. Right, I've reloaded the editor. That seems to be a thing that fixes things. Have I broken it again? Let's find out. Right, that is more what I wanted. So the players should either go around there or around there if this works. Let's see. Yep, taking the long way around. So that's how to make the friendly AI take different paths to avoid areas that you blocked off. That's most of what you want, but let's now look at how to make the player avoid areas when you click. So he shouldn't be going through that area, but he is. This is the bit that's surprisingly hard for reasons I'll now go into.